freehand corset cutting and sewing. Yes, you heard me right. This particular corset you are seeing on the screen, I actually cut and sewed this corset using a freehand method. There was no pattern drafting involved in this corset making, and as you can see, the details is just so clean. You can see that our lines are aligning perfectly. You can see the Basque effect, how relaxed and flat the Basque is. Yes, the inner finishing was not left out as well. You can see the inner finishing of this corset dress. You can see how neatly finished it is. I went ahead to video the step-by-step process of how I could achieve this using freehand method. If that's something you are interested in, kindly continue watching this video. Please, at the end of this video, if you got value, I would really appreciate a reaction or a comment on this video. Subscribing to my channel is free. Just hit the subscribe button to get a VIP treatment, like you'll be the first person to know when I upload a new video. That's just the essence of subscription. It is totally free. So quickly, let's just get into the video. This video might be quite long, but trust me, it is very detailed and it is like a full video comprising of the sewing and the cutting process. All right, so just come with me as we get started. So the first step, you are going to take the lining that you intend working with. Yes, you are going to start cutting with our lining first. Later on in the video, I will explain to you why we started with our lining. So for the lining to use, you can use doll face for your lining or cotton lining, but if you intend using this soft lining I'm using, ensure you get the strong type from the market. Now for what I cut, I actually cut out my bust measurement divided by 2 and I added 10 inches for cutting and sewing allowance. So I went ahead to place it on fold, and this is what I have here. So I'm going to go ahead to mark my shoulder measurement divided by 2. That will mark my armhole measurement. From there, I'll go ahead to mark my bust point, my under bust, and what, my half length. Please, if you do not know how to take this measurement, you can check our previous corset series for a better understanding of how to make this measurement, and for how to curve your armhole. I have a video on it on my channel. You can quickly just go over it for a better understanding. Now from here, now I'll go ahead to mark my half length measurement, and from the half length point, I will just go down from the half length by 7 inches for my Basque effect. Now you just go ahead to measure your client from their half length to their desired point to get their Basque effect. So I went ahead to label them. So next, for you to know where to insert your bra cup or where your bra curve should start from, you need to insert your bust span line. All right, now you should ensure that you have closed your bra cup and you have covered it like this before using it to draft out on your corset pattern. For you to know how to cover your bra cup like this, kindly watch our previous video to know how we covered this bra cup. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to measure my bust span measurement divided by 2. Now whatever your bust span measurement is, you are going to be adding 0.75 inches to it. Now I'm going to be explaining why I added 0.75 inch to it later on in the video. All right, so I'll just go ahead to mark my bust span measurement divided by 2 plus 0.75. But for a better understanding of how to understand the tape rule or 0.75 inch like I'm mentioning, you can check my channel. I did a video on how you can interpret the tape measurement, all right, so that you can understand this very well. So now I'll just go ahead to connect my bust span line to my under bust. So next, I'm going to be showing you how you can style the front differently. You can decide to style your dart line straight downwards, or you can decide to style it to the front center with a slant like this, or you slant it to like some inches away from the front center. Kindly note that if you want to slant it to some inches away from the front center, since your fabric is on fold, kindly note that you actually get 2 times of what you slanted. So if you want 2 inches, you are going to mark 1 inches, and do not forget to add your 0.75 inches that you added to your bust span measurement. So now I'm going to measure mine, adding my 0.75 inches. Just ensure that it is not too wide from the front center. All right, so I'll just go ahead to connect from my under bust to my base point with a slanted line like this. Next, you are going to take your covered bra cup and you are going to place it on your bust span line, ensuring that the center of the bra cup sits on the bust span line like this. Please ensure that the center of your bra cup is sitting directly on your bust span line. So I'll just go ahead to mark out exactly the shape of the bra cup like this. So from here now, to be able to get our cleavage depth, I'll go ahead to measure my neckline of 3 by 3, and from there I'm going to come down by my cleavage depth measurement, which is 5. Please, for a better understanding of the measurement, I'll really advise you watch our previous corset series. All the links to these videos I'm talking about would be in the description box. Alright, so I'll just place my tape on my 3 by 3 neckline. That point is actually the point where our cleavage measurement started from, that bone on our neck. All right, that's our 3 by 3 depth. So I'll just place my tape there. That'll go ahead to measure our cleavage depth, which is 5. I'll go ahead to mark it out like this, and I'm going to reconfirm our cup's height. What I actually need is 6.5, but we have 7 here. When I'm done sewing, we'll be having our actual 6.5. So I'll start from the midpoint of the cup. I'm going to curve it into our cleavage depth like this. You can see how it touched our cup. So if you want a sleeveless corset dress, you just take it straight up from the tip of the cup like this. But if you want a corset with sleeves, start from the tip of the cup and blend it into the left armhole curve. So now the top part, I'm going to be using it as a guide to be able to cut out a yoke. This is one importance of cutting on a lining. The main importance is just ahead. Keep watching. So I'll just cut it out. Take note, I'm not cutting exactly on my line. I left my 0.25 inch for my showing allowance, so I'll just go ahead to cut this out like this. And because I want this corset to be having a sleeve, I will just blend it into my armhole curve. Take note, I did not cut any part of my corset curve, so I'll just take it straight down without shaping the sides like this. You go 1.5 inches away from the back cup and you are going to add an extra tie line, and you will just slant it down like this. So from here now, I'm going to take out the bra cup and I'm going to cut out exactly what I have as the bra cup curve. All right, do not worry about adding a sewing allowance to the cup curve. By the time you take in the sewing allowance you added to your bust band, you'll have enough to join the bra cup curve. All right, so I'll cut out exactly what I have as the bra cup curve. For the down part, you're going to cut it straight up. Do not cut out the Basque effect yet. I'll tell you when to cut out the Basque effect. So I went ahead to remove the bra cup curve. That will go ahead to cut through my bust span line like this. And then for the other style line, I actually forgot to add my 0.75 line while I was marking it out. So if I go ahead to cut this like this, by the time I sew it together, the distance from the bra cup will be too close and the style line will not be fine. So now I'm going to go ahead to cut it some inches away from the style line like this. This is to add my 0.75 sewing allowance to it. All right, so when cutting yours, do ensure that you add your 0.75 mark to your desired style line point. All right, now I went ahead to number it 1, 2 and 3 for the top part, and for the other part I numbered it 4, 5 and 6. This will help me remember the part that I am joining to the other part. So you can use alphabet or anything you can remember to number yours, so you can know the part to join with the other one. So now I'm going to be placing this cutout on my fabric and I'll be cutting it out. I'll be using this doll face to style it to test. Now one essence of cutting on your lining is that it allows you style your corset dress anyhow you want. You can place any pattern you want to be doll face on your doll face and any pattern you want to be fabric on your fabric. All right, so I'll just place it on my fabric and my doll face, and I'm going to cut out exactly what I have on the pattern. There's a video on this channel already on how to cover your bra cup, and this was the pattern we used. So I'll just drop the link in the description box for you to understand how I cut my lining and cover the bra cup. All you need to do for this is to mark where the front center is before you loosen it. So this is my lining of the front center. I have gone ahead to iron a light paper stay to it, and I've done that for both the fabric and the lining. And for the front center, I'll be using doll face as the front center for this. And as you can see, I cut it in exactly the same shape and size as the lining. So this is the other piece. I have ironed light stay on every part of this. So this is me trying to arrange it according to the numbers. For the second piece, I actually had to mix it up with my fabric to give it a beautiful styling and look. Alright, so now for the third part, this is the third piece, and I've also cut it out on my fabric as well. So this is like one side of the corset. Now looking at the wrong side, you can see that I actually arranged it according to my numbers 3, 4 and 5. So now I'm just going to join this up, and I'll be taking the 0.75 inch that I used as my allowance. I'll be joining the lining to the lining and the fabric to the fabric. Please take note, the third part is kind of confusing. Do not mistakenly turn it upside down when joining the third part to the second piece. So I will advise you notch the down part of the third part so that you will know which side is the up and which side is the down before you join it. So here I have gone ahead to join it up, taking in my sewing allowance, and I ensure that I have my bust span measurement 7 when I am done joining it. So this is it. I took in my sewing allowance of 0.75. I did the same for the fabric, and I went ahead to iron the seam line open. The essence of using a 0.75 for the seam line is so that you can use it for a boning channel. A quick reminder, we are running a 70% discount on our hip and butt padding class right now. If you are interested to enjoy the discount, you have to register before the 20th of June. For details, kindly send me a WhatsApp message. This is my lining. I went ahead to iron it into two to get a center line for both the fabric and for the lining. Now I'll take my fabric, and I'm going to be recurving the bra cup curve using my covered corset cup. So this is the front center. As you can see, it's carrying the curve that we drafted out. Place it on your fabric, ensure that it starts immediately from the front and it sits at the bust span line. The other part can stay the way it wants. So now I'm just going to hold it down, and I'm going to trace out the new curve. After tracing the new curve, ensure that this new curve do not eat into your front center and it do not eat into your bust span line, else it will increase your under bust measurement. This 2 point is very important. So I'll just go ahead and I will cut it out. I'll not be cutting exactly, I'll cut it out, leaving like 0.2 inches for sewing allowance. You can decide to chalk it down before cutting it out for it to be easier. So when you are done with the fabric, you're going to take your lining and you are going to place the fabric on it, and you will recurve the bra curve like this. Carefully follow the curve like you did for the fabric and make sure you do not cut the fabric. So I'll go ahead to join the bra cup of the lining to the lining. When you join the bra cup of the lining, ensure you do not sew on the side seam allowance as it's close to the bra cup. For the fabric, I'm going to give a triangular notch at the seam allowance at the bust span line there. I'll take the bra cup and I will ensure that the center of the bra cup sits directly on the bust span line. I'll pin it up and I will sew using the sewing allowance provided by the bra cup. As you can see, I started from the center as I sewed down to the front center. This is to ensure that my lines align perfectly. So I'll turn my fabric upside down and I went ahead to sew from the other end to the end of the bra cup. So I'll just go ahead to repeat this for the second bra cup. So as you can see, I don't have any excess at the sides, as you can see, and my lines align perfectly. Coming to the front center, I have a little excess of 0.25 and I'm going to trim that up like this. So I'll just trim it up like this. So ensure that after sewing, what you have at the front center is not more than 1 inches. For what I have here, it is 0.75 inches. So next, I'll place my fabric on fold like this. I'll mark my half length measurement and I'm going to go ahead to insert my body measurement divided by 4 plus 2.5 inches, my under bust measurement divided by 4 plus 2.5 inches as well, then my half length measurement divided by 4 plus 2.5 inches as well. Then from this point now, I can go ahead to draw my Basque effect. From your sewing allowance, you just draw a slanted line like this down to your length. Now I decided to make it this curve like this, or you can decide to use the first slanted line, but for me I'll be using the second curved line. So I'll just take my scissors. I'm going to cut it out using my desired curve line, and there I just went ahead to cut it out like this. So next I'm going to take my lining and I'm going to cut out this shape for my lining as well. I went ahead to cut a skirt piece of my desired length, and I went ahead to iron it. This is the center of the skirt piece. Now the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take my tape and I'm going to measure my base length. Now I'm using 7 for the base length, but I'm going to be marking out 6.5. all right, that point, the other half is for sewing allowance. So from here now I'll open it up and I'm going to take my dress, place it on top the skirt piece like this. Ensure that the center of the dress meets with the center line and ensure that the side seam meets equally at that point. Then I'll take my chalk and I will curve out the shape on the both sides. I'll notch the front center like this. Please, I actually did something off camera. After marking the base shape on the skirt part, please do not cut it out yet. Before you cut it out, take it to your sewing machine and follow up the shape with a stitch line. Now when you want to cut it out, do not cut exactly on that line. You leave like 0.25 sewing allowance and you're going to notch on the center part of the Basque effect on your skirt part. So you're going to place the notched part of the skirt part and the notched part of the upper part together like this. You're going to pin it up and you start sewing from one edge. So on getting to the center, which is the most important part, ensure that the two notch parts meet, and on getting there, just sew straight and leave your machine needle inside. Lift your machine footer up, then you are going to spin your fabric like this. When you spin it, you will notice some rough edges underneath. Make sure you arrange the rough edges, that there is no rough edges at the under or at the top fabric. Arrange it carefully. You can even use a pen to make sure you have something flat there before you go ahead to sew it straight up to the other end. When you are done sewing, you should have a very balanced and flat stitch line like this. If you have anything rough at this point, you will not get this flat look when you turn it to the right side. So quickly I'll just turn the other part and I'm going to notch it slightly at the curved angles. Make a yoke. You are going to use this cut out here as a guide to get any yoke styling of your choice. So after you have joined the yoke, you place the lining, ensuring that the yoke lies in between the lining and the main fabric, and we are going to sew it up. Please, if you want a detailed video on how to fix a yoke, please do let me know in the comment section and I will make a video on that. Just pin it at the center here and you are going to sew the center and the side seams as well, so that you will have a very neat finishing. Please, if you have got to this point and you have not commented or reacted to the video, please do that quickly as we proceed. While you sew, just follow it up with your hemming gum and sew it straight up. I'm going to be showing you the essence of this later on in the video. So quickly I'll just take my scissors. I'm going to notch it slightly all through. Please be careful so you do not cut on your stitch line. So I went ahead to iron it up. This is the essence of the hemming gum. It gives it this firm look at the top when you iron it up. It also hems the lining in and keeps it in place like this. So this is what the inner finishing looks like. So I'll just go ahead and iron it down very well, and I will just use my hand needle and tack it down to this allowance that I have sewn here. So this is the inner look of it. You can see that it's actually finished properly. Alright, so if you decide to fix your bones in this, all you have to do is to just sew on it and fix your bones inside. You can do it on your lining or on your fabric. Alright, so this is the inner look of the dress.